guys, welcome to the show. Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. I want to say thank you to everybody who is liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. Really, truly appreciate it. Listen, do me a favor, click below and comment. Let me know what you think, okay? Let me know, do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Do you like? Do you dislike? Let me know. I really, truly appreciate it, okay? So we're going to talk today about some of the crazy jobs that I have had, some of the wonderful jobs, some of the crappy jobs that I've done in my 55 years. We'll see you in a moment. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, I am Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. I'm a Canadian expat, 55 years old. Actually, in 2 months, I'll be 56. Hard to believe. It's October 20. My birthday's Christmas, so 2 months, 2 more months, and I'll be 56. My gosh. And next year, I'll be coming up on 3 years here in Sri Lanka. So I'm semi-retired. And I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the jobs that I have had, some of the jobs that and the reason I'm doing this is because I was talking to Lady Sarah just a couple days ago. You guys, if you've been on the channel, you know, she's my travel buddy, my good friend from Korea. And I was mentioning some of the jobs I had and she goes, "You did that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I got into deeper and we had a conversation. I'm like, and I'm thinking back, holy cow, I've had some really, really amazing jobs, some weird jobs, and some crappy jobs. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that today. It is Sunday, fun day. Just finished a live stream. I want to say thanks again to everybody who is liking, commenting, sharing. It's really inspirational when I have people supporting me the way you guys do. So thanks a lot for that. Hopefully, look at how beautiful it is today. We've been having rain, but today it is beautiful. And I got the camera just set up perfectly. I got the sound set up just perfectly. I'm just gonna work on the editing, see how you guys like it. So let me know what you think. Anyway, where do I start? So I'm 56, you know. I mean, we might as well start at the beginning. Some of the jobs I had when I was a kid, you know, you have to remember, when I was 14 years old, that was 1982, okay? 1982, I was 14 years old, so paper route. Then when I moved to the suburbs, so I lived in Toronto, or Mississauga. I lived in Mississauga. Then I moved to Bradford, which is like up north. And when we were up there, I had a couple of jobs when I was a preteen, like not preteen, when I was a teenager. So 15, 16, 17, I worked on a farm picking radishes. I remember I was picking radishes. I was laying sod, I did that. I worked as a dishwasher at a Chinese restaurant. I worked at a wood blind factory. They made wooden blinds, handmade. I worked at a printing press company. Labor jobs. I mean, that's what teenagers did, right? They worked labor jobs because that's the only jobs they could get, right? In those days. But then I lucked out and then I worked at Canada's Wonderland. I remember I was 16, 17. Canada's Wonderland is Canada's version of Disney World, you know, Six Flags, whatever. So an amusement park. So it's only open in the summertime. So it opens in May, closes in October. So I worked there in the summer. Now it was a trip and a half to get there because it was far. But they paid really well in those days. And then when I turned 18, because I could serve alcohol, well, no, let me take a step back. This was one of the best jobs I ever had because we worked for the groups. I ended up, I didn't know, I'm just a kid. So I took the first job they gave me, which was food service. And because I had a little bit of experience in food service. And at least I think I remember that's what happened. And we worked at what was called King's Courtyard, which was the group sales, group function venue. So if you had like a company, like, you know, like GE or whatever, and you had a company event, you would book this and prepay the food for 200 people and we would serve you. Now, one of the benefits was we got to eat the food. Nowhere else could you eat the food. You had to pay for it. You had to go to the commissary and order your own food and pay for it. Here we got to eat for free. But it was hard work, but it was so much fun. Met a great group of kids. We had way too much fun because we were the most popular unit in the park because everybody knew what we did. And we also got to work the concerts at Kingswood Music Theater, which is like a little venue, outdoor venue. But I got to see and meet, and you know, we would serve the stars in the backstage. So I met Kim Mitchell, Bobby Brown when he was in New Edition, Janet Jackson, Eurythmics, In Excess, U2, not U2, In Excess. All the B-grade bands of the late 80s, of the mid 80s. Janet Jackson, Platinum Blonde, Honeymoon Suite, Eurythmics, I remember. Robert Plant, Grateful Dead. So many bands I remember. I just like, it's so long ago, it's 30 years ago, I don't even remember. Any band that you can think of from the early 80s, I met them. So it wasn't a big deal for me just, you know, to meet and serve them and talk to them. It got after a couple of, I did that job for 3 years. And it was not that big of a deal after a little while. It got to be normal. So we were, for basically in the hierarchy of the park, we were the elite because I don't know. I honestly don't know why we were treated like the elite. Everyone else in the park knew who we were. I think it's because we worked so many long hours and we worked so hard and we were in front of like VIP customers that we were, and because we did such a good job, we were treated a little bit differently. And, you know, we got to deal, like if you worked in one of the restaurants, you never met the chefs, the head chefs. You never met the park directors. We knew the park director because they came and saw us working all the time. And because they would come to the concerts, obviously, they would come to the group functions to meet, you know, the directors of the companies that were being hosted, you know, so we got to meet them and see them and know their names, and they knew who we were. So I still remember my director was Kathy Kim, and I kind of remember the chef's name. I have to remember, this is, I was 18, so what, 35, 37 years ago, and I still remember. I still remember Lisa DeMarco was my manager, and John and Carlos were my two best friends, and Sean. And then Lisa's friend was a girl I had a crush on. I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name. but it was way too much fun. And we were a crew, and we came back year after year for about 3 years. And then my brother joined. I got him a job, and it was great. But then, you know, after 18, I started working in the clubs. Hey guys, Sri Lanka Sammy, thanks for joining. I want to take a quick moment and talk to you about the channel. I really appreciate you taking the time to support the channel, clicking like, sharing, and commenting. But I need to ask you for a little bit of help and helping me get the channel up and running a little bit better. Please click the link down below if you want to support the channel and buy me a coconut. What I will do is I will match the dollars and I will go out and buy fresh fruit and vegetables from local farmers on the roadside. You guys have seen me do that before. I'll continue doing that by supporting the local economy. Passively, if you would like to, you can just watch a commercial. I am monetized, so if you watch an ad all the way through, a couple, that would really help the channel. And even more so, click the link of the ad and let it pop up on your computer. Leave it open for a few minutes. That would really help the channel passively. And one last thing, if you could please just put a comment, an emoji, one word saying hello, saying hi, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Happy Vesak, Happy Poya, whatever it is, whenever it is, I truly appreciate it. Sri Lankan Sammy, loving you all. We'll see you all on the other side. And I started out as working as a DJ, then I became marketing, and then I ran a club. So how I got into that, I think I've talked about that before. I was like 17, 18. 18? In Canada, the legal drinking age was 18 at that time. And I remember I got asked by the owner of a club in Newmarket where I used to DJ at. He said, you want to come in and start like managing like the DJ booth, the club stuff. I said, sure, and he offered me a great deal of money to do it. So that's how I started. Then I came up with an idea. Now this you have to remember, this is 1986, 1988. And dance music was just coming into play. I was associated with radio stations. I knew a lot. I used to hang out with DJs who were on the radio, and I was actually on the radio, not working, but I was actually, because my friends were Chris Shepard and Headley Jones. How I met them, I don't remember. I remember I met Headley, I think through Beth, Lady B. I think she introduced me to Headley, and then I met Headley, and then he brought me into the radio station, and I met Chris Shepard, who was a huge DJ at the time, dance music. So then I parlayed that into promoting. So I came to my boss, the club boss. I said, listen, the club is closed on Sundays and Monday's a holiday. So why don't we do an all ages event, like a teen dance on the Sunday, because Monday's a holiday. It doesn't have to go till 2 a.m. It can start at like 8 and finish at midnight, right? So he was thinking about it. So he gave me a budget for this event. And I got flyers, and in those days there's no internet, there's no mobile phones or anything like that. Pagers, I think. So I set up a flyer and I started going to the local high schools and handing out flyers and blah, blah, blah. Now I had done one prior event a few years before at the local arena, and that was a huge success. So that's how I knew I could do it. I put on a teen dance at the local arena, marketed the crap out of it, and I got my DJ friends to use their voice in the advertising for I think I had an answering machine with their voices on it, promoting it. And I used some crap marketing, back in the day. So that's how I got into that. And then the event turned out to be a huge success. That snowballed into opening up an all ages club. Didn't take off the way I wanted to, but it got my name out there. Moved to the city and started working for clubs in the city. Ended up working for one of the biggest nightclubs in Toronto because I showed up with like 5 or 6 girls all the time. So the owner there knew me because I was a VIP, and he asked me to come and do marketing there. So I ended up doing marketing in the VIP section, and I just knew the right people. So that was my extracurricular work. The other thing was I was always a salesman. So that was the best jobs too. Best jobs I had was working in sales. I worked in the telecom industry. I started working for reselling companies back in the early 80s, mid 80s, resellers of long distance. This is before your time in Canada. And then I ended up moving to Bell Canada, the incumbent company, and I worked my way up and I became an executive. For a short time, I left Bell Canada to TELUS, which is the competition. But then I returned back to Bell after about 3 months. They took me back. Even though I left, they took me back because it was amicable. I didn't leave for any bad reasons. I left because I got offered more money. Then I eventually left and I went to Rogers, which is another competitor. And then I left the industry and went into a research analyst for a portfolio manager. And I did that. I've made a crap ton of money just writing research papers on telecom. And that's before I quit everything and came to Korea. And in Korea, I did the Korean thing. I taught English face-to-face to executives, and because of my education and my background, I became very popular. And after years and years of honing that skill and references and resume and working with, like, say, Samsung or what have you, I ended up teaching CEOs, 2 of the CEOs, like very powerful people in many, many companies, Bank of Korea, LG, Samsung. So I knew a lot of popular people. One of the greatest jobs I had in Korea, other than the club, was I worked for a VIP education company. So I would teach movie stars and K-pop stars. So in the beginning, I didn't know who these movie stars were. I didn't know them. I'm brand new to the country. I don't know who's famous. It's like if I took someone from Sri Lanka and I took them back to Canada and said, this is John Candy. They don't know that he's famous. He's just another guy. I remember I met this guy through a Korean friend of mine, and they call him Mr. G. It turns out he was like a huge comedian. I didn't know that because I don't watch Korean TV. But I ended up teaching at one of the big K-pop companies. And that company, JYP, they do Blackpink and BTS right now. But back in the day, they did Sonya Shide, which is Girls' Generation, and 2PM 21, which is doing a reunion tour right now. They'll actually be in Bangkok the day I land. So I taught all of these people English, or how to properly, what they wanted is they wanted an elocution training. They wanted me to train them to properly elocute in English. They didn't want me to teach them English. They wanted me to teach them elocution when they're singing, because they had some English words. So I used to teach Sonya Shide, which are one of the biggest K-pop girl groups. They're still running strong, 15 years now. I remember I was in the airport in the lounge waiting to fly out somewhere about 12 years ago, and I'm sitting on my phone and I hear "Oppa!" I can see, look, there's 2 members of them running towards me with their security chasing them. and all the people in the lounge are looking at me because they're famous. I'm nobody. And they're all wondering, who is this foreigner guy? And You know, why is he so famous? I'm nobody. I was just a teacher. But they were young kids at the time, right? I really didn't know them. But I went to a couple they invited me to a couple of concerts, a couple of backstage shows, passes to their TV shows and stuff like that. But I doubt that they would remember me today. I doubt it. But my all-time favorite and best job ever was running the club. I got paid an insane amount of money to do what I did. And the only reason is because I have experience. I'm an extrovert, I'm popular, and I had the right visa. Nobody could do what I did because they didn't have the right visa. I was a permanent resident. So because I'm a permanent resident, that means that I can work any job I want. People who come there on a teaching visa or a tourist visa can't do these jobs. Illegally, yes, they can. But I was too popular and the company I worked for was too legit. So, I had to follow the rules and everything like that. All the paperwork, all the taxes and everything, but I got paid to drink and talk to pretty girls. That's basically what it was. And I became the face of the club. And everyone assumed, they didn't assume I was the owner, but I had power. I had my own security guard who would follow me around just to ensure, safety and all that. Also for translation if there were any issues, because mostly I dealt with the foreign crowd in the VIP section. But on occasion, there were some people who I had to deal with who I couldn't communicate clearly enough that there was an issue that they needed to resolve. So I had security there, which is always cool to have your own security walking around. It gave an impression of importance, right? I mean, who doesn't want to seem important? And, I'm outside the front of the club and I'm basically deciding who gets in and who doesn't on the VIP side. And when there were problems with foreigners, I would be called to the front door. I'm mostly at the front door the whole night, except, after 2 a.m. I go downstairs and I hang out with everybody. But everybody got to know that I'm the guy. And when and if I ever got a day off or there was a weekday event and I would walk around, I'm getting pulled into bars and clubs by owners and managers for a drink. If I go to Gangnam, same thing would happen. So I was well known because I think I was only one of the very, very few, I can count on my hand how many foreigners worked as a salary man at a club. There were part-timers and freelancers. So there were people we would call pickers or MDs, marketing directors. So their job was to bring people to the club and they got paid by the person. Whether I brought one person or whether I brought 200, I got paid the same salary. I came when I wanted, I left when I wanted. I really didn't report to anyone other than the owner. I got hired by the owner. I had a general manager, but yeah, I did what I wanted. And I told people, I didn't really have anybody under me, but except for the security, I worked with them. So if I said, this guy's not coming in, they would listen to what I said. But that was the all-time best job I ever had. And that was 8 years of that across 4 clubs. And then COVID happened and that killed everything. But yeah, that was the best. And now I'm doing the easiest job. I'm making a crap ton of money just teaching online in paradise. Could I be doing something else? Yes, I could be doing this on a beach, but then I'd be spending too much money. Here, I am doing this at the cheapest way possible so I can save as much money, put it into my retirement fund, and then once my visa expires in a couple of years, because you have to have a visa to work in Korea, because like I said, Korea is the most lucrative financially. You can work online without a visa for China or other countries like that, but they're paying you 10 bucks an hour, 12 bucks an hour. Komende? Hyundai? Hyundai? Ah, Hari. Bye bye. So cute. I love kids. I miss teaching kindergarten. It was way too much fun. Because the fun thing is, the easy thing is you just act the fool. If you act the clown, the kids love you. And that was the thing. When I was teaching kindergarten, when I first went to this one school in Gangnam, these are high-end schools, I met with the owner and the principal, the manager. They're both younger than me, females. I was 50 at the time. And they said, you know, why do you want to? And when I met, the principal spoke English, but the owner didn't. So I said, no, we can speak in Korean. And they were like, okay. And then they learned my age, and then they were like, why do you want to do this? I said, because it's so fun and it's so easy, and I'm good at it. And they saw my references. And the reason I got put into that was one of my students from another school, her mother loved me because her child wouldn't study except with me, and he learned. And she had a younger child who was at this school, and they had just lost a teacher. So she said, okay, well, you should hire Sam to replace the teacher that left. So that's how I got that job. And so they were motivated by the parent. And then after a year, my second year, I came back, and they wanted to give me the 5-year-old kids, which are like first time ever in a school. And I said, you know, why do you want to do that? Is the parents love you. So how do the parents know me? And then that's when I learned, I forgot, but I learned about the online, there's a search engine called Naver, which is like Google. And they have this cafe group chat where you can register and log on and report on schools and stuff like that. And the moms all talk on there. They all chat on there. So my name had come up. So I logged in with a friend's ID and logged on and saw that I had all positive reviews because I was silly and fun and engaging. And I took my work seriously. So that again was a fun job. I like that one. But I'm glad you guys stuck around for this story, me rambling on. And a lot of you have said that you like me just talking. So please let me know what you want to talk about, what want me to talk about. Let me know what you want to hear. I just talk about life. I'm going to be having a lot more Sri Lankan videos coming up about life here, what's going on here. So stay tuned for that. Sri Lankan Sammy, thank you again. We'll see you all on the other side.